Bruno's RPG Talk! Oh yeah. Hello everyone. Welcome to Bruno's RPG Talk. So, in the last episode, I promised I would talk about the Penanggalan, um, which is a sort of really creepy undead, really horror, gory undead. And the Penanggalan is basically this vampire like undead woman who at night can pull her head out of her body with all the entrails coming out. It's like a flying head with entrails hanging attached to the head. So kind of like last time, like I did with the nil bug, um, zero prep. I'm just gonna be reading different versions of the Penanggalan to be used for old school D20 games, and in my case, I will kind of be looking at it from the eyes of Castles and Crusades, which is the system I use. But overall, generally speaking, it'll be applicable to pretty much any old school retro clone or older edition. So the two books I'll be comparing like different versions of the Penanggalan. The two books I'll be looking at is the Castles and Crusades Monsters and Treasure, which is a beautiful book with a an homage cover, as you can see, an homage to the first advanced edition, and from the speaking of the advanced edition, the Fiend Folio. And I'll mention which one I kind of happen to prefer. If one stands out, maybe I'll just point out the differences. So let's see. Should I start with the Fiend Folio version or the Monsters and Treasure? I guess we'll go in chronological order, and we'll start with the Fiend Folio. Um, so I feel like I'm committing cardinal sin of recording something for the camera where you're not supposed to be moving your chair around. I also have my pajama shirt here. No editing here. Okay, let's have a look. Again, zero prep. I could have bookmarked the page at least, right? Okay, so first of all, here's the image of the Penanggalan in the Fiend Folio. And you know what? Hmm. If I have time after, I'll see if I can find. I have the GURPS Blood Types book, which also includes the Penanggalan, and I'll just have a look at it really quickly for fun. If I can find a book. No promises. Okay, so it says I'm just gonna kind of like read this, browse it. A female vampire type undead of fearsome power and nauseating appearance, this vile creature appears during the day as an attractive human female who may be of any character class. This is the female human which the Penanggalan was before death. Now, what's interesting is that the I don't know phonetical accents, um, how they work and all that, but here the way they wrote Penanggalan, there's like some sort of like interesting accent over the. Just so like a quick mention. Um, I could even actually I kind of regret not looking up how the word is pronounced before filming this, but that's okay. Um, yeah, so they don't give you like hit dice, body variable, head and gut when detached 4 hit dice. Okay. And they say she will fight with the same combat abilities as she had when alive, will have spell use if formerly a spellcaster, thieving abilities. So basically what you're meant to do with the Penanggalan is attach a character class of whatever level you wanted to this monster. The head, however, will take 4 HD of damage, and a separate account of hits needs to be kept in case the head itself is struck in this form. Okay, so a bit of bookkeeping here, separating hit dice and everything. Um, okay, and a no alignment spell cast on a creature in this form will reveal the alignment that Penanggalan pursued while alive. As undead, however, the creature will act in accordance with the lawful evil alignment. I always find it kind of cheap, to be honest. It's I mean, if I were to choose this version, I would actually follow that rule. I wouldn't house rule it away. But I kind of find it's kind of cheap because it's like that's the one thing that spell does. No alignment. You get to know the alignment of whoever you cast it on. And then it's like, oh yeah, the that doesn't work with this creature, and there's no explanation for it. It just doesn't work. They don't even try to explain it. So it's nah, it doesn't work. Um, I guess I get it because it's the kind of monster where it looks like a normal human during the day. So it's a monster that's very suited for mysteries, like okay, who's the monster, all that. Um, but I think in a way, if just knowing that someone's lawful evil solves the mystery, it probably means you need to have like more um, evil NPCs in your campaign, I guess. Um, maybe some people are evil, but just don't act out on it. Like I think there's in the real world, there's a lot of regular people who are not like murdering, thieving, fighting, or whatever, but they're very evil. Like if they had a chance to cause evil on other people for their own gratification or personal gain or whatever, they would. Um, and I guess we enter a little bit in the alignment debate of like, well, maybe a neutral person, but no, like there's like I don't want to give examples because I don't want to get unpleasant with this video, even though we're talking about a horror being. I don't want to get into like real life examples, but what I mean to say is that in real life, there's plenty of examples of just like regular people who would do horrible things for their own personal gain beyond what I think would be considered like a neutral alignment. That really goes into evil. So being evil doesn't mean you're actively evil every day of the year. So for me as a GM, if someone's casting like no alignment, yeah, you might like find out that the farmer over there has an evil alignment, but he might not have committed any evil acts in the past 10 years of his life, but maybe he did something really bad at some point to gain some money or gratification or whatever the case may be. Um, so yeah, so I think in a way, like, I guess that because it's a mystery monster, you kind of like remove the ability of, okay, you don't get to know the alignment. Um, but I feel like it's a non-issue for someone to learn. Oh yeah, that person is evil because if that's the only evil person around in a whole city or town or whatever, um, yeah, that's not realistic. I think a lot of people that we meet every day are. There's a difference between having evil in your heart and being actively doing things. And also, a lot of people are afraid of confrontations, and so not every evil person would become a brigand, uh, like a bandit on the road, but maybe someone would not have the guts to be kind of like fighting other people, but they would attack a wounded person for their goal, like so. Again, um, I think to be honest, a cheap way to keep the mystery of the villain, but okay. We're 9 minutes in, and we haven't really covered a monster yet. Um, got off on a tangent. Okay. Uh, so in this form, okay. So when they cast no alignment in the human form, and then in this form, the Penanggalan is impervious to holy unholy symbols and cannot be turned or dispelled. It is also immune in either form to all spells which attempt to control the mind or body, like other undead. Okay. So it's not explained why, but I think this is kind of one of those things where there's a lot that we can elaborate on as to the why. I guess it's when when in a human form, in some way, they might be less undead. I guess. Actually, even as I say this, it doesn't really make sense. Yeah, I noticed like this example has a lot of stuff that's just because it doesn't give you any lore of why. It's just that's because that's it. Which is interesting because to me it's like, look, if a cleric casts no alignment or holy unholy symbol, wait, is no alignment a cleric or wizard spell? I think it's cleric. I'm not gonna look it up, but um, that's their god giving them that power, and yet this monster gets to evade that and cancel that. Why? That'd be interesting. Anyway, in such a guise, the Penanggalan will seek to befriend any unwary. You know what's kind of in this book? I'll skip to the meaty, like special rules and all that. But this old book, it's just like what the creature does is mixed in the text with the explanation and lore. So I can't really like skip to the special abilities and all that. It's just mixed in with the text. And such a guise, the Penanggalan will seek to befriend any unwary party of travelers and attempt to join with them. So yeah, that's why the no alignment doesn't work. Um, it will prove extremely useful. Over its years of undeath, it will have acquired an extensive knowledge of the dungeon, which it now roams. Okay, so it's meant to be inside a dungeon. Um, yeah, because I guess this is very dungeon centric. Um, See, I would use the Penanggalan more in the context of a in a city or a town, but not in a actually in a city. Given the what the victims that Penanggalan seeks, which we'll get into. I, yeah, I find it kind of odd that it would be like in a dungeon, pretending to be a normal person in a dungeon. Yeah. Uh, because to me, like the idea that dungeons have like regular adventurers going in frequently, I love old school dungeon runs and all that, but I am that stretches credibility a little bit for me. So it would just like spend like what, like decades by itself in the dungeon, like um. It'll be able to guide parties to treasure and warn them of possible dangers. Naturally, it will find some plausible reason for this knowledge and may sometimes make deliberate mistakes, deliberate mistakes, quote marks, or feign ignorance of areas of which it has knowledge in order to not arouse the suspicion of the party, whose members naturally become suspicious if their new companion display near omniscience. Having joined a party of adventurers, Penanggalan will remain with that party, even to accompanying them out of the dungeon. Okay. It will never. Okay, so I guess it goes out regularly, but goes back to the dungeon. So the dungeon is really close to civilization, then, I guess. It will never, however, encamp for the night with the party in the dungeon. So where does it go? It's like, hey guys, you're camping in the dungeon now. Okay, I'm just gonna go to the other room of this dangerous dungeon, but don't be suspicious of me at all. Yeah, I'm gonna go by myself. No worries though, it's cool. Oh no no no, thank you for offering to stay with you, safety numbers, but I'm actually gonna go by myself in this dungeon to that another room. I can't sleep when other people are there. Like if one of you snores, like you know what, I fart at night when I sleep. I just you don't want me in this room with you. Like yeah, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah, I know it's dangerous, but it's fine. Like that's not suspicious at all, right? Okay, it'll never. I'm talking such mad shit. I will do. Like I love this book, okay, and I'm talking such mad shit. People are gonna be like, "How dare you? This is a classic." I love this book. Just to make it clear, just having good fun. I'm making jokes lovingly. Um, I will never, however, encamp for the night with a party in the dungeon. Nor would accompany them to spend a night in the supposed safety of the upper world, making some excuse for being elsewhere. Okay, what's the excuse? Seriously, I've been over this already, but what's the excuse for being elsewhere? It's like, it just has anyone, please in the comments, has anyone ever used a Penanggalan in their game like in this context or another monster in a similar situation where the party's like, just come to safety with us if you're really a human being, just come over here, we're sifting yummers, and they're like, nah, I'm good. And the party was like, you know what? The reason you gave us seems like believable, reasonable, it's cool. Like, I just I just can't get over this. I'm sorry. It's okay. And I love that the book doesn't even bother to at least give a few examples of what it could be. Like it's super specific in its modus operandi, in how it would do things, what it would never do. Like it will never leave the dungeon, like no matter what. Like which again, if this creature is sentient, there might be reasons that would, but no, they say never, no matter what. But then they're like, it'll make an excuse. What's the excuse? I don't know. Okay, moving on. This well, we're, oh my god, 16 minutes in. I haven't even thought about special abilities other than some cheap spells don't work on it when in human form. At night, the Penanggalan assumes its real undead form. Which yeah, I know it's why it doesn't go at night with the adventurers, but still. Its head and internal organs detach themselves from the body, rising vertically from the abdomen, as opposed to horizontally. Okay. And fly in search of human prey to feast on their living blood. For this reason, it will always return to one of its secret lairs before nightfall. A single Penanggalan may have as many as 6 identical lairs hidden in various parts of the dungeon. Okay. It is particularly fond of the blood of young children and pregnant females. But lacking such a victim, it will select the party member who appears to be most susceptible to hypnosis, preferring a female to a male. Okay. Um, all the Twitter debates. If anyone chooses to elaborate, I'm not doing this. But if anyone wants to go on Twitter to elaborate on this one, in this day and age, in the tabletop RPG scene, lacking such okay, so it prefers young children or pregnant females. Okay, lacking such a victim will select the party member who appears to be most susceptible to hypnosis, preferring a female to a male. I actually have no commentary on this. I'm just imagining like the shitstorm if anyone wants to go on Twitter and like talk about gender on Twitter. It'll always attack humans and will ignore even near humans. Okay, this is interesting. It prefers humans. I don't know why. Although it's interesting to know that the Penanggalan is a human-only undead. It seems. Um, this is actually interesting because this is how I'm gonna approach in my upcoming OSR game, Undead Malefactors. Um, I'm actually going like vampires are going to be a human only undead curse. Um, Not that the game has the traditional elves, halflings, and dwarves and all that, but I'm thinking of later on, no, not in the main book that will be coming out, but later on, like coming up with some maybe non-humans, like monsters that are not of the undead variety or stuff like that. So I kind of make it clear, like I'm gonna give a silly example. Like there's not gonna be minotaurs in undead malefactors in that setting, but you can't be a vampire minotaur, for example. As awesome as that sounds. You know what? Maybe I'll change my mind because just saying a vampire minotaur that sounds really cool. Okay. Uh, Yeah, so I guess if you're an elf or even a half elf, you're cool. Doesn't want to drink you. Still evil, of course, still an evil undead creature, but any unfortunate witness of the scene when the Penanggalan head and got detached from the body must make his saving throw against magic or die immediately. That is hardcore. Just like, yeah, I'm gonna read this again. Any unfortunate witness of the scene when the Penanggalan head and got detached from the body must make his saving throw against magic or die immediately. That is hardcore. That is, and in terms of Castles and Crusades, death is oh no, saving throw against magic or die immediately. But see, in terms of Castles and Crusades, I'll make that a death saving throw, which is based on charisma, like the supernatural kind of death attacks. So damn, that's harsh. That's harsh. Because a lot of people don't choose charisma as their prime in Castles and Crusades. So that, yeah, in Castles and Crusades, charisma is not such a dumb stat. Yeah, I know this is for AD&D, but again, as I said, I acknowledged in the beginning, I'm looking at this through the eyes of someone who runs Castles and Crusades more often than not. Even though under Malefactors will be BX basic, but it's okay. If he makes the saving throw, he's treated as if the Feeble Mind spell had been cast on him. That's actually pretty harsh. Like even if you succeed a saving throw, get Feeble Mind. Now what does Feeble Mind do again? Just a moment. 1 second. Let's see. Oh, that's a Castle Keeper's Guide. Okay, let's have a look here. Okay, wow, level 5 wizard spell for Castles and Crusades. Again, an homage cover, as you can see. The spell drains the target's higher intellect, reasoning, and even base cunning, reducing the target to an intelligence of 2, below that of even an animal. Still, even at such low intelligence, the spell's target instinctively recognizes friends and can follow them and protect them in a very primitive manner. The unfortunate victim remains in the state until a heal, restoration, wish, or equivalent are used to dispel it. So that's permanent unless someone can dispel it. Wait, that means that in this version of the Penanggalan, if you see it transform, so let's say you have your suspicions and you follow, you know what, this person who doesn't want to have anyone with them at night, wants to sleep by themselves. I don't trust this person. I'm gonna follow and see what's going on. And this is like, and the character, like the player is playing right, is playing smart, and they follow the Penanggalan, and they don't get caught, and they just see the transformation. They become feeble-minded after succeeding their saving throw. So it's like the player is penalized for having been smart and having been careful and everything, and they still get penalized. They still get fucked over. That's pretty. That sucks. I'm all for harsh monsters, but and I can even deal with like, oh yeah, that spell doesn't work. This spell doesn't work. F you, player, and your abilities. All out the window. No explanation. But I find out this is actually kind of sucky because I feel like it really penalizes players for doing the right thing in a way. If they catch up and on transforming, it's because they were onto something, and they'll become feeble-minded. And if they succeed a saving throw, so that means that if the whole party does that, if the cleric had like spells to restore someone's feeble mind, but the cleric was part of that group, The cleric becomes feeble-minded, cannot cast the spell either. So it's like it's even worse than a total party kill. Okay, I want to make a joke, but I want to be careful how I make the joke because um, in this day and age. Let's see. So it's like a whole party of adventurers. They're like, I don't trust this woman who just helped us, but you know what? She goes off by herself at night. I think that's dubious. And everyone's like, yeah, you're right. Let's follow her. Let's see if we can really trust her. And they follow her, and they hide somewhere. The Penanggalan didn't notice them. They see her transform, and instantly they're all just like too dumb to do anything. They're just like, and the cleric who could have restored them is part of the group and can't cast spells either because now man, that monster sucks. I'm sorry. It's it's so unfair, and look, if you look at my video with the Nilbug, you'll see my favorite version of the Nilbug was actually the one from this book. I didn't mind that it was unfair because it was unfair in a way that players could still be smart about it. It was unfair in a way that didn't like finish the game just outright. I'm not even against the like save or die saving throw, but it's just like for doing the right thing, for observing something, for catching the creature in the act. In a werewolf story, normally like it's important for like when the characters catch like the werewolf transforming and they confirm their suspicion, like, oh, we knew it was a monster. It's like supposed to be the smart move, like, oh, you knew all along it was a monster, right? And then normally the problem is you're in front of the werewolf. That's the issue. But let's say you trapped it or you're hiding. Well, in the case of the Penanggalan, let's say you're trapped in a cage or you're hiding somewhere, you're still fucked. you're 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 not gonna be smart enough to do anything. Um, yeah, that. Why would a Penanggalan bother like hiding its nature? Okay? Why would it bother? It's true. Why would it leave the group to go in hiding if it has that ability when it transforms? Well, it should just stay there with the group until it's night, and then at night, hey guys, is everyone looking at me now? And everyone like, yeah, we're looking at you. What's going on? Check it out. And then just like everyone's either like dead or too dumb to do anything. It's like it's like if they fail a saving throw, they're dead. If they succeed, they become feeble-minded. That's it. That I want to read this again. Maybe I just want to this big tangent and I read it wrong. Let's see. Any unfortunate witness of the scene when a Penanggalan head and got detached from the body must make a saving throw against magic or die immediately. Okay, again, I'm not even opposed to that part. It's the second part I find like what the hell. If he makes the saving throw, he's treated as if the feeble mind spell had been cast on him. Oh wait, okay, wait a moment. You know what? Again, I'm not gonna edit, and this whole tangent was funny. I think maybe to someone, but okay, I was wrong. It doesn't say that the character is treated as if a feeble mind spell was in effect. It's as if the feeble mind spell had been cast on them. So that means that when the spell is cast, you still get a saving throw. So you get two saving throws. You get one saving throw to avoid dying, and then a saving throw to avoid feeble-mindedness. So okay, so that means that the whole group wouldn't automatically all be just like. Oh, that makes it less funny though. Uh, well, I hope you were entertained. I hope you believed me for a while. Like, there's gonna be two kinds of people watching this. The kind who knew that I was making a mistake, and they're like watching me like being all cocky and making fun of it the whole time. They're like, "You're wrong," and they're already typing comments. Or there's gonna be a kind of person who's like, "Oh my god, that is funny. You're right, Bruno." And then like, "What? You were wrong all along? I believed you. I went along with you. What the heck?" Anyway, I hope you're entertained either way. Feeble mind. Yeah, saving throw, charisma negates. Again, charisma. Interesting. It's again charisma for Castles and Crusades. So yeah, there is a saving throw. Okay. So I'm okay with it then. It's actually okay. In that case, it's very horror-like, very Cthulhu-esque. I don't mean that the monster is Cthulhu-esque, but the Call of Cthulhu mechanics, if you will. Like roll against fear if you saw the horror and all of that. Okay. Um, and then it's the head and gut will fly in search of a victim, and one is discovered. The head will attempt to hypnotize the victim, who must make a save against magic on -3. Damn. Or fall completely under the control of the creature for as long as it takes to feed. Okay. It will make 2 small lacerations in the victim's throat and feast on the blood throughout the night. Okay. For 8 nights feeding, the victim will lose 1/6 hit points. Okay, so it's draining it of hit points, strength, and constitution. The Penanggalan will select the same victim each night, if possible, and will continue to visit and feed night after night until the victim is dead. If the victim survives the night, he will remember none of the events except in snatches, as if from a faintly remembered dream. Okay, for some reason he avoids the subsequent. What I like is that reading this monster is also kind of like an adventure in itself. It's kind of like it gives the. I mean, I'm gonna be boasting here, but I'm good at reading a monster and imagining ways that I could use it. For example, the carbuncle. I think I'll make a video about it. I'll write it down to not forget. But the carbuncle, I have a really creepy idea for a carbuncle. I'm not kidding. I know it's supposed to be a joke monster, but I'll mention it in another video. Or maybe I'll make a short adventure about it. I don't know. Let's see. Oh my god, there's so many details. This is so long. If the victim survives the night, he'll remember. Okay, dream. If for some reason he avoids the subset he, but they said the Penanggalan prefers female victims, so yeah, maybe it should have been she. Yeah. I'm not saying anything. Like whatever you're thinking, this is all you. Okay. Um. Note that hit points drained by Penanggalan cannot be restored by magical means such as cure wound spells. In effect, the victim's maximum hits are being drained. Such spells will only take effect in respect of the lost points after the spell evil has been cast, and even powerful spells such as restoration will have no effect. What? Oh, okay, wait, let me read this again. Hit points drained by Penanggalan cannot be restored by magical means. Okay. In effect, the victim's maximum hits are being drained. Okay, so see but it says by magical means, so I would have thought that natural healing would have worked, but then it says that the maximum hits are being drained. So I guess they mean to say not even by magical means. Oh, maybe hit points drained. I guess the wording. I guess back in AD&D, maybe I'm wrong, but drain meant specifically the hit points are coming back. Perhaps I don't know. Never played in the AD&D, so. Such spells will only take effect in respect of the lost points after the spell evil has been cast, and even powerful spells. Suddenly, victims' lost turn constitution points cannot be recovered until after the spell evil has been cast. Okay, so it really has to be the spell evil. I get it. And then the points go back. I'm trying to go faster. Victim succumbs their first occasion to Penanggalan. The creature must again hypnotize him the next night before feeding is possible. Okay. However, the victim saving throw is progressively more difficult. The throw is made on -4. Okay. On the second occasion, -5 on the third, and so on. So it becomes more susceptible to hypnosis. Okay. A break in the sequence of one or more nights will halt this progression. The saving throw will again be at -3 if a renewed attempt is made. Okay. I'm just gonna try to accelerate this. So much text. Okay, minutia on if they succeed against the hypnosis. If not, no, the victim is asleep through visitations of Penanggalan. Never see the creature. Even what? Okay. Note that the victim is asleep through the visitations of Penanggalan. He will never actually see the creature, even if he makes a saving throw against hypnosis. The creature will never attack a victim who is awake. if any person happens to see the head and gut when detached from the body. Okay, so that means that like the saving throws are made while a person is sleeping. The person doesn't even know. So what's the hypnosis for? So they don't wake up, I guess? I'm a bit confused now. Um, if any person happens to see the head and gut when detached from the body, for example, if the intended victim awakens before the creature has had time to commence hypnosis. Okay, so it is so they don't wake up, yeah. He must save against fear or flee in abject terror. Okay, so if you see the head going out, that's the whole thing we talked about, death and all that. But if it's already out, if you don't see it go out, it's already floating there, then it's just fear. Because when it is formed, however, the creature can be turned or dispelled by a cleric. Okay. Um, I'm skipping a little bit. So it's basically a normal undead. Okay. Should Penanggalan kill a male victim, he remains lifeless. Now, I want to be clear, okay? I'm not making jokes of anyone's. When I was looking at the camera in silence, kind of making faces. I'm not making any comments, anything about people's identities and how they see themselves, how they relate to the world, any of that. I was kind of just imagining the clusterfuck and discussing this monster on Twitter in this day and age. That's all I was laughing at. Not for me to get into people's personal lives or make fun or anything, but I am making fun of the idea of just people like going insane on Twitter on both sides and just like that is um culture wars can be funny if you take a step back and just watch it from the outside. Okay. So should a Penanggalan kill a male victim, he remains lifeless, and if an attempt is made to raise him, his chance of surviving the system shock will be half normal. Okay. So harder for a cleric to bring back a dead body. That's interesting. When it's been by the Penanggalan. If he kills the female victim, she will rise from the grave after 3 days as a Penanggalan, not under the control of the original creature. If an attempt is made to raise her during that 3-day period, her chances of surviving the system shock are half normal, and failure of that attempt means that no further attempt can possibly succeed. Okay, the process by which she becomes a Penanggalan is then inexorable. Okay, harsh. Okay. If an attempt to raise any victim succeeds, however, the victim will return to normal. All hit points restored, strength and constitution back to normal. Um, Maybe it's almost better like, oh my god, the Penanggalan drained all of your strength and constitution. Oh wow, this is. Are you gonna be okay? Like, you know what? Let it kill me, bring me back. I'll have all my stuff, all my stats will be back to normal. You sure? Yes. Actually, no. Okay, no, that's not true because I think we said I'm trying to make jokes and then realizing I'm just making mistakes or skipping over information here. Okay, so dispel evil could be cast for that, and I'm not gonna look it up. I'm sure dispel evil is a lower level spell and raise dead. So okay. Um. Oh, this is interesting. If an attempt to raise any victim succeeds, however, the victim will return to normal. Everything restored after 2 months of rest and recuperation. Oh, ouch! 2 months. You're out. Furthermore, the victim will be immune to further attacks by Penanggalan. Will recognize one for what it is. Well, that means that if you get killed by Penanggalan, and then you get raised from the dead by your friends, you then become a permanent Penanggalan detector. So yeah, that's one way around the no alignment issue. Just get killed by one. Um, After Penanggalan, head and gut have left the body in the air, the internal organs swell up, whether feeding takes place or not, and cannot return to the abdomen until they have been soaked in vinegar for an hour, during which time they return to normal size. For this reason, the creature will always keep a large vessel filled with vinegar concealed in each of its layers. In a Penanggalan, layer may often be detected by the distinctive odor of vinegar which permeates it. This is cool. This is like no, okay, I know no, again, I didn't do any prep. I know that Penanggalan is from Southeast Asian folklore and myths, but some I'm not saying like this comes from here, but like as far as gaming material goes, I like monsters that have that sort of detail to them. That are like details that add uh, just a bit of texture to the world. You know, like it's not a gameable. Well, I mean, everything is gameable in a tabletop role playing game, but it's not intrinsically gameable. It's just like this fact, and you know, there can be a clue if adventurers know how to recognize it, if they ever met one before or something, or if the GM feels really generous and lets them do some sort of knowledge check, depending on what version of the game you play, or if you just wanna let them try anyway. But I like that kind of detail. It just you know it makes the world come alive. You know. Again, I do realize this is probably directly from folklore, but still. Um, if rays of sunlight strike the creature's head and gut when they are detached from the body, the head will be paralyzed and will fall helpless to the ground until nightfall. Okay. Thus, the creature will always attempt to reunite the head and body before cockcrow. I'm just reading the words, YouTube. That talk about the bird here. Don't censor me. In any event, if the head and body are not reunited within 7 hours after initial separation, both will start to decay, and the evil life force which animates the creature will be forced to return to hell. Wow, that's hardcore. Thus, to destroy the body or the head is a sure way of destroying the creature itself. When separated from the body, head takes 4 hit dice of damage. Neither form of the creature takes normal damage from weapons. If it is weaponless and in human form, it can bite 1 to 6 hit points of damage, but will try to avoid using this mode of attack for fear of revealing its true nature. When attached from the body, internal organs constantly drip a highly volatile and foul mixture of blood and digestive juices, which cause 1 to 4 hit points of damage on bare flesh, which breaks out in sores and boils in painful eruption. This sort of liquid evaporates after one round in contact with air. Okay. And it has, yeah, mentions maneuverability, flying rules from AD&D, which I don't know. It's class D, if that means anything to you, for aerial combat. So that's the Penanggalan for the Fiend Folio. Quite a lot of stuff to go through. I would probably dismiss some stuff like that it has to go be in a dungeon, stuff like that. I would probably dismiss that. Otherwise, very usable, even by more modern sensibilities. As in, like the I'm not making a joke about genders or anything like that when I'm talking about like the gaming aspects of the monster. The saving throws are harsh. That's very old school, but you know, like there's many of them, so that kind of. Although in terms of Castles and Crusades, that is they would both be charisma. Like the death attack and feeble mind are both charisma. So that's kind of harsh. Where sometimes what happens, it's interesting. Like when you look at older monsters in Castles and Crusades, you get different saves, and they go to different ability scores, which is kind of fun for Castles and Crusades because then you kind of like characters will have different primes in different places. If you don't know about Castles and Crusades, just look at my channel, search Castles and Crusades. I made a bunch of videos about the rules. I'm not videos about the rules. I'm not gonna go over them again in this video. It would take too long. It's already taking too long. I'm 45 minutes in almost, and haven't gotten to the second version. Um, but yeah, but in this case, it's both charisma. So if you know if a character has bad charisma saves, they're basically toast against the Penanggalan unless they're really lucky or you're using like luck points or something. Okay, now let's look at the one from Monsters and Treasure for Castles and Crusades. Now this book has a ton of monsters. That's good. What's a bit of, I mean, okay, look, a nitpick, but I understand that it allows them to put more monsters in the book, but it has no image. The Penanggalan has no image in this book. The spider is from the previous monster, the face spider. Um, I'm gonna look real quick. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I'm gonna look for the differences. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, it has a bit of the same things. Their alignment appears to be fairly mundane, almost never evil, even if seen through potent magics. Oh, a gem of seeing is said to be the only foolproof way of detecting Penanggalan during the day. Okay, so at least they give you one way of doing it. Um, See, at night when the town is sleeping, the Penanggalan will enter its horrid second form. So in this version, it kind of acknowledges what I was thinking, that it's a monster and makes a bit more sense in a city or a town than a dungeon. Um, Anyone witnesses transformation must make a Christmas save or go insane as per the spell Feeble Mind. Okay, so it removes the whole death thing. It's just you save against Feeble Mind and that's it. So a bit easier to deal with. It's 4 hit dice. Doesn't mention the alignments, but I mean, you can always add class levels if you want to a monster. But this one just went with the it's 4 hit dice. Um, this is rare, however, for Penanggalan is very secretive about her true form and will never willingly reveal it to anyone. So it touches the head. Oh, this is a cool detail that they didn't mention the other one. The torso will stand erect, not moving, until the head returns and reattaches itself. So that's kind of cool. So it's not like the body drops; it just stands there. So it means people could like stumble upon like the standing body without a head. The head must rest in the body during the day, for exposure to air will eventually cause various organs to rot and burst, killing the Penanggalan. Oh, that's a cool detail. Also, not dependent on. Oh, and I mean, it was pretty much the same thing. The other one, but I like the explanation here. You can survive outside of the body for 24 hours. To guard against this, the Penanggalan is very clever in hiding its empty torso as she flies about in the night. Okay. Oh, so they kept Penanggalan seek pregnant women, children, and infants in that order to feed upon. Wow, that's very detailed. During the day, they seek likely victims, often plying their trade as a midwife in what amounts to a hunting expedition. That's dark. That's really dark. I wouldn't be surprised if this was taken from folklore. Maybe it's actually Castles and Crusades. They elaborated from the Fiend Folio information, and this would make sense for that monster. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is from Southeast Asian folklore. It's pretty hardcore. Yeah, pretty hardcore folklore. Um, and It's kind of funny. I don't think 5e D&D would give you these details. I have the 5e Ravenloft book. I might, instead of the GURPS book, this video is already too long. I'm not gonna look at the Penanggalan from GURPS. If anyone wants me to do a video of that, I'll always just leave a comment. Maybe I'll do that. But I'll have a look at Ravenloft to see if Penanggalan's in there. See if they have kept the hardcore elements, so if it's basically the Scooby Doo version of the Penanggalan. Uh, let's see. Oh, the Penanggalan would oftentimes spread rumors of a vampire in the town if she feels the townsfolk are becoming suspicious. She knows this will alleviate some of the suspicion from her, as vampires are normally male. Vampires are normally male? Look, there's one Dracula. There's many vampire wives for Dracula. So I think the ratio is like 3 female vampires per one male vampire, you know? I don't know where that comes from. That's interesting. The vampire is normally male. The, I really don't know why that is there. I'm not. I don't mean like I'm offended. No, that's not what I mean. I just mean. I just mean. That's a weird thing to say because like everyone loves to use like female vampires as this an alternative to succubi in games or like in pop culture. Like I don't see why that's there. Why would the vampire normally be male? I, I'm not offended. That's not how I mean it. Oh my god, what this is becoming but I just I'm baffled by this because it's not from my experience, game masters love to throw both male and female vampires at players, and in books and all that. Anyway, um, and cannot be exposed to sunlight. As a Penanggalan is female and can walk freely around during the day, her ruse is often very successful. Okay, so the whole daylight thing makes more sense than vampires normally being male. Because that also implies that townsfolk are so used to vampires that, oh yeah, they're normally dudes, yeah. Like, how often do you get vampires around here? Like every few months. Always been a dude except that one time. Look. Vampires are equal opportunity monsters, okay? Like, I'm not saying only men can be vampires. I'm just saying statistically, I'm not sexist. Okay, Farmer Joe, if you say so. However, if a rounded form is subjected to sunlight, she suffers the same debilitating effects as a vampire. Okay. Do they mention what it is? So what's interesting is that they don't mention. So they don't mention exactly what the daylight would do. So I guess we have to go look at the vampire. Vampire vulnerabilities. When exposed When exposed to true daylight, the vampire is rendered powerless and unable to move or attack. It will begin to smolder, and after 6 rounds of exposure, a vampire will burst into a flame and burn to ashes. This permanently destroys the vampire. Okay, so they just say it's like a vampire, then you have to go look up the vampire. Would have been nice to just copy paste the little section there, but okay. The undead form of the Penanggalan will have a wild, almost insane look about her. Oftentimes, the appearance so different than her calm. Okay, well, that's a cool detail. Oh, this is interesting. Oftentimes, this appearance is so different than her calm daytime appearance that most people who witness the undead Penanggalan will have trouble identifying her in her human form. Anyone seeing both forms of Penanggalan and are actively trying to deduce the suspicious activity that invariably surrounds the Penanggalan are allowed an intelligence check with a -5 penalty to correctly deduce the two creatures are the same. That's cool. Bit of a Clark Kent Superman effect. Glasses, crazy face. Yeah. Um, If present to combat, the Penguin will fly about, moving in for a quick bite before taking flight again. Each successful bite inflicts 1d. So just for a quick bite. Sounds like it's gonna have a quick snack or something. So it has blood drain. Okay, infection. This one. Again, I'm skipping some stuff that seems to be pretty much the same thing. Yeah, so losing strength constitution. Okay, so that's pretty much the same thing. Um, Dimension of vinegar and having been gorged with blood, so the guts and intestines, and exposed to the air, they will become distended and thus they will not fit back into the torso left behind. Penanggalan are very aware that this telltale sign of a strong smell of vinegar could help to unmask them and will go to great lengths to alleviate it. As such, Penanggalan during the day will almost always wear thick, cloying perfumes. While this may seem odd, rarely does one associate too much perfume with the undead. If you meet someone too much perfume, they might be an undead being, just so you know. Infection, losing hit points. Only remove disease, heal, or wish will remove the disease. Okay, so there's a few more options for healing it in this case. Dominate. The intense gaze of Penanggalan's intoxicating, overwhelming feelings of both fear and lust across the victim's mind. Flying guts. The creature that looks in the eyes of Penanggalan must make a charisma check at -2 penalty, again with charisma. -2 penalty. Failure results in the victim suffering the effects of a permanent charm person spell. However, a person charmed in this manner will defend the Penanggalan at all costs, even against former allies. Oh. So it has that going for it. Okay, so this I find like this version of Penanggalan is less harsh in terms of when you see it or when you're a victim of it. Like it doesn't mention it's harder to come back from it if you get killed by it, but it's more it's more dangerous because it has dominate. Although the other one, hypnosis, I don't know how hypnosis works. Uh, is hypnosis an older version of dominate from an older edition, or are they two different spells? Let's see. Well, there's hypnotism, but that's only illusionist, an illusion spell. The caster gestures and utters a drawing incantation, which causes nearby creatures to stop and stare blankly at the character. Yeah, but I don't know if it's. However, I don't know if that's the same as the hypnosis from AD&D. Okay, so I'm not gonna look up at the GURPS one because that was more of a just an idea I had on the spot. But the video's already 57 minutes long at this point. I'm gonna go get the Ravenloft 5e and see if they mention Penanggalan, just for fun. Okay. What I find funny about this cover is that it looks like this woman is about to attack this guy from behind, and that the vampire is trying to warn the old man. I'm having trouble pointing because like the everything is like a mirror. Okay, let's see. Raven off. Cool. Yes? Just a moment. I'm not editing anything. I just jumped. I didn't expect my phone to ring. I'm like, what? My phone works? Okay. Where are the monsters in this? Okay, bestiary. They have the Jiangxi, the hopping vampires from Chinese mythology, and They do not have the Penanggalan. Okay. I don't think 5e would have the Penanggalan. Or if they did, they would highly modify what it does and all that. Okay, that's it. If anyone wants me to go over the GURPS version of it, which is completely unrelated to old school D20 games, let me know. And yeah, thank you for watching. Bye. If you enjoyed this video of me talking about role-playing games, I strongly recommend that you check out my actual play channel, Chronicles of the Crimson Hound. In it, I play old school D20 type games, be it Basic, BX, or Castles and Crusades, the Siege Engine, and I portray the Crimson Hound, a violent anti-hero in a cyberpunk type setting where supernatural creatures abound. The concept of the show is basically that I am always a player for Crimson Hound, but the guests are the rotating game masters, so every serial of the Crimson Hound has a very different tone and style. Please take a look in the description box, and once again, thank you very much for watching.